Okay, today's learning goal is what we call consolidation, or basically going back over and making sure that all of the ideas and concepts we've had for fractions are in there, and you've kind of got a comfort level with them. So what I would strongly recommend is download the PDF of these notes, or pause each question before I do them, because I'm just going to go through how I would solve them. It doesn't necessarily, I won't be able to do every single style or model to show you. So it's best if you try them first and then we can compare notes after you're done. So let's jump right in. So a quick reminder, adding and subtracting fractions require the same denominator. Okay, so these guys right here need to be the same. So if I was going to do this problem, I need equivalent fractions to change the 3/5 into 6/10. The 7/10 can stay the way it is. And then I add the numerators and I leave the denominators. So this would become 13/10 or 1 and 3/10. Okay, so big things to remember. We need the same denominators, but the denominators don't add together, they don't multiply, they don't change. Once we have them as the same, don't touch them. Okay, for doing multiplication, we do not require the same denominators. So multiplication, okay, or division for that matter, do not need the same denominators. So if I multiply across the top here, I get 21. Multiply across the bottom, I get 50. That's as low as term as they go. 21/50 is the answer. Okay, and that's a really big difference than 1 and 3/10. So notice, for multiplication, the denominator changed by operation. In adding, subtracting, the denominator did not get added together to make a 20. It stayed the same. It's the size of the piece. Okay, let's get started. Evaluate the following. So pause and try. Okay, I like to use the improper method. It's just what I do most often. So 3.5 becomes 7/2, and 1 5/8 becomes 13/8. I need to have a common denominator here because this is an adding problem. So I'm going to go with eighths. So this becomes 28/8 plus 13/8. And that's going to give me 28, 31, 41/8. Okay, and if I want to change that to a mixed, 8 goes into 41 5 times with 1 left over. Okay, so take a look, note any differences or difficulties you had. Okay, let's go to the next one, which is a multiplication problem. I could use area model. I'm going to stick with my improper method because, again, that's what I like to use. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 3 more. This is 11/4. Okay, times 3/2 is the same as 1.5. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. 33/8. And then 4 groups of 8 fit inside 33 for a total of 32. So that leaves me with 1 part left over. Okay, again, pause it, try it. All right, so let's have a look. It's a division problem. That's the first thing I want to notice. It's a division problem, so I'm already thinking about reciprocals and flipping. I do not like working with mixed numbers in division problems. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to improper. So this becomes 7/2. I'm going to leave the division alone for one line here. This becomes 5/4. So there's my conversion to improper. And on the next line, I'll deal with my shortcut for division. So I'm switching to multiplication, and I'm changing from 5/4 to 4/5. That's the reciprocal. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. I'm going to go over here just for space. This becomes 28/10, which is the same as 2 and 8/10, but I can go a little bit lower. I can go 2 and 4/5. Okay, so this has 3 terms and they are all subtracted. Okay, so again, I could work with pieces on this and divide up the whole numbers and the fractions. That's one option. But like I said, I really use the improper fraction technique on most problems just because it's quicker for me because my facts are really good. 8 times 3 is 24, 5 more, so this becomes 29 eighths minus 1 times 4 is 4 plus 3 more, that's 7 quarters. And then 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 more is 9 halves. Okay, so I have everything in an improper format. Now I need to get a common denominator, so I'm going to make everything have an 8 on the bottom. Okay, so this becomes 14 eighths, and this becomes, going to multiply top and bottom by 4, so 36 eighths. Okay, and then there are times where I might bust out a calculator just for speed. This might be one of them. So 29 minus 14 minus 36. So I have a negative 21 on top and an 8 below. And if I wanted to reduce that, I could say that's negative 2 and 5 eighths. Okay, so even though we suggest you try doing these problems without a calculator, sometimes when you know when to use it, it can just be speedier. Okay, but we want to make sure we understand how to do the entire problem and use the calculator just for a speed element in a calculation. Okay, so evaluate the following. Ooh, okay, now here's where I got to be really careful because I have fractions and I have order of operations. So I'm going to write down bed mass so I can keep track of what I have to do first. So brackets, I definitely have brackets, so I need to deal with the brackets first and then I'll worry about division. Okay, so within the brackets, I'm going to turn this into 7 quarters plus 5 eighths. And I'm going to write the division just off to the side a little bit. I need to have a common denominator here. So in the interest of space on my board, I'm going to just convert this to 14 eighths. Okay, so I scaled up 7 quarters to 14 eighths. And now I can do what's inside that bracket. 14 eighths plus 5 eighths is 19 eighths. Okay, and again, just to shortcut a little bit of writing here, instead of dividing by 3 quarters, I'm going to times by 4 thirds. Okay, so now we can multiply across the top. 4 times 19, so I'm going to do this in 2 parts. I go 4 times 10 is 40, and then 4 times 9 is 36, and then I add those pieces together in my head for 76. Across the bottom, I'm 8 times 3 is 24. And then I can look at trying to reduce this. So I can see a 2 fits right away, so I might take several steps to go 36 over 12. Nope, that's wrong. Hold on a second. That's not 36 on top. Yeah, see, even I make mistakes. It happens. Right, so 2, that would be 38 on top. That looks better. 38 over 12. Okay, that can go, they're both even, so that can go a little bit lower. That can become 19 over 6. And we can go to a mixed if we really want to as 3 and 1 6. And again, I'm not using a calculator, just practicing those skills. Once I get them, then I own them for good. Okay, evaluate the following. Oh boy, more bed mass. Okay, so as soon as I see brackets and exponents, I want to slow right down and make sure I do all the pieces in the right order. So 1/2 squared. I'm just going to write this up here. That's a half times a half. That's what that means. So a half times a half, that's a quarter. Okay, now I'm going to jump over here. So I did what was inside that. Well, I kind of cheated. I did the exponents first, but you'll see it still works out. Over here I'm going to do this bracket, so what's inside, so 3 quarters minus 1/8. I'm going to upscale this to 6 eighths. Okay, so now I have 6 eighths minus 1/8. This becomes 5 eighths. Okay, now this is where I should have done my exponent. I just got a little excited and did it too quickly. So I'm going to change this 1/4 to 2 eighths. And again, I'm doing this mostly because I need the space to fit it all on the board. 2 eighths plus 5 eighths should be 7 eighths, and that is lowest terms. Okay, I think this is the last one. Hopefully you're doing okay here, so make sure you pause, See how they're going. Brackets, multiplication, division, lots going on in this problem. So I'm going to do the brackets first. So I'm going to turn this into 5 over 2 times 5 over 8. And then I'll leave the dividing by 3/4 over here. Multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. 25/16. And now I'm going to deal with this division. So instead of dividing by 3/4, I'm going to times by 4/3. So I'm taking advantage of my shortcut that I'm very comfortable with. And now I can multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. Oops, I'm running out of space here. See if we can get this to extend. So this becomes 100 over 48. Okay. We can do a couple of equivalent fractions to bring this down. 4 goes into both numbers, so this would become 25 over 12. And then if we look at that, 2 groups of 12 fit inside 25. I get 24 from that, so I have 1 left over. So I end up with 2 1/12. Okay, so now I've done those pretty quickly. Again, I'm very comfortable with my multiplication facts. What we're really interested in is, do you know your order of operations, and do you know what technique to use with the fractions? Do you know when to get a common denominator? Do you know when to not worry about denominators? Do you know how to multiply by the reciprocal? Those are the key pieces we're looking for in this lesson. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. You have a task that has a mixture of fractions. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck.